All right, guys, so we talked a little bit about this yesterday in a breaking news video, but we're going to dive into it some more here. So look at this. The White House has temporarily paused all federal grants and loans, except Social Security, Medicare, and other programs that provide direct aid to individuals. So, as you all know, this is not even totally true. They released a contradictory statement, and people didn't know what funding was being frozen. And so basically, all funding was frozen, including Medicaid. Medicaid is healthcare for low-income people and disabled people. There are 72 million Americans on Medicaid, and Medicaid was frozen. And so this was like 5-alarm fire, holy shit, collapse of the system type stuff. And then the White House was scrambling to say, no, actually, this doesn't apply to Medicaid. They were saying that, but again, the portals were frozen. By the way, I still don't know at this moment, I still don't know if the portals are back online. I don't know. They can still be frozen. So this, now understand something, and we'll talk more about this, but this is completely and utterly illegal from the Trump administration. Because the way it works is, if you are president and a spending bill gets to your desk, you can, if you want to, veto that bill. But if Congress gets something to the president's desk and the president signs it, you can't retroactively veto it. This is already settled law. And so now Trump is effectively trying to retroactively veto it, do like a line item veto, say, I don't have to spend on stuff that I don't want to spend on it. And that is just not remotely true. Right? But this is what he's doing. He's testing the theory of governance brought to you by Project 2025. Namely, let's destroy the regulatory state, destroy the administrative state, destroy the entire social safety net, let the president act as a unitary executive, and let him not fund whatever he personally doesn't want to fund. Okay? So here we go. We got more. This pause could affect a wide range of programs, ranging from Medicaid to federal aid highway programs, assistance for tenants, child nutrition programs, grants for colleges and universities, and much, much more. In fact, I'll give you more. Here we go for more perfect union. Trump's illegal freeze on billions of dollars allocated by law is going to hurt people in federally subsidized housing, block maternal and child health grants, halt emergency public efforts, limit lead reduction efforts, hurt students on scholarships, and harm hospitals. By the way, we can go deeper. This is just some of the shit, bro, that was part of this massive freeze. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but you can pause if you'd like to and read it on screen. But you got stuff like the Pell Grant Program, Federal Work Study Program, Teacher Quality Partnership Grants. I mean, the list goes on and on here. Again, you can pause if you'd like to and read through it all. Health Center Program, Public Health Emergency Preparedness, Public Housing Capital Fund, Section 8, the Lead Hazard Reduction Grant Program. Like, this stuff is insane. All this stuff was frozen. Again, more. Pause it if you'd like to pause it. Read through it. Clean Water State Revolving Fund. Like, what are we talking about here? Wildfire Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program. I don't know. That seems kind of important with Los Angeles currently on fire. SNAP, which is the food stamp program. You got WIC, which is literally nutrition for babies. WIC is literally baby formula for poor families. Like, you are taking food directly out of the mouths of babies. You know what else was frozen? Meals on Wheels. So senior citizens, like, you just stole food directly from senior citizens. You had the director of Meals on Wheels come out and say, we don't know if this applies to us or not. People are confused. Some people aren't getting their meals. What the hell is going on here? More. Here we go. The federal spending freeze, it impacted Medicaid, school, breakfast, and lunch programs. Oh my God. So remember, guys, in blue states, there's been a bunch of governors who decided we're going to do free school breakfast and school lunch. And in other states, you have reduced school breakfast and lunch. But for many of those programs, there's a federal component. Like, the state will fund a certain amount, but also the federal government funds a certain amount. Trump froze all of that. Again, he's taking food directly out of the mouths of school kids. If you're making a list of shit to cut, it wouldn't even be on the list. It'd be at the very bottom of the list to say, let's cut school breakfast and lunch programs. Do you realize how disgusting that is? Section 8, Title I education grants, temporary assistance for needy families. That's what remains of the welfare program. State grants for childcare, Head Start. the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, Department of Housing and Urban Development's Community Development Block Grant Program, EPA grants for clean water infrastructure. In one fell swoop, like a wrecking ball, he took out massive portions of the federal government. Willy-nilly, on a whim, he was literally golfing when this happened. When he ordered it, and then when the impacts were becoming clear. He was golfing. Now, immediately, by the way, I believe there were, I think it was 23 attorneys general sued. But you're not allowed to do this. You're not allowed to do this. And I believe you already have a stay on this move from the president, where a court has ordered you actually can't freeze this. You have to unfreeze it and then let it go through the litigation. But in the process, when it's going through litigation, you can't do this, right? But again, as I pointed out to you, I'm sitting here right now. I saw all the reporting about how the Medicaid portals were completely frozen in all 50 states. I have yet to see any update where people say, oh yeah, our Medicaid portal is working now. And then forget that, because the administration claims the freezing on the Medicaid, like they say, oh no, we didn't actually mean Medicaid. So we're trying to reverse that. That's what they say. But they're not saying that about the school breakfast and lunch programs, right? They're not saying that about Section 8. They're not saying that about Head Start. Do you have any idea how devastating the consequences are for the American people with this? Do you have any idea? And guys, I made this point the other day, but Trump is a master at overriding reality, but even he can't successfully use PR and marketing and messaging to override this reality. The point I made was eventually reality catches up to everybody, right? This is making that happen so much quicker than anybody thought. In fact, the longer this stays in place, right, the more his approval rating absolutely implodes. Absolutely implodes. You cannot override this reality. Too many people depend so much on these programs from the federal government just for normal day-to-day existence, right? Tomorrow we'll cover a story for you. This poor woman absolutely broke down over the fact that her benefits were cut. Her benefits were cut. And she's like, I literally can't afford to have them cut. She ended up skipping meals so her kids could eat. This is how this is impacting people. This is how, and guys, as I said, there's a certain percentage of the public that will never abandon Trump. They are full on cult mindset. But there's also plenty of people who voted for Trump who are not full cult members. They say, oh yeah, I don't know. He said some good things. I guess I'll vote for it. They're like the casual Trump supporter. Those ones are going to sprint away from you at 1,000 miles an hour over this. 1,000 miles, especially if their lives are personally hurt or their loved ones' lives are personally hurt. That bubble's going to burst, bro. And I predicted it, but his approval rating, when he's done, and at some point in this term, his approval rating will go to 35% or less. And in fact, I think it'll hit 20-something% at some point. And he's just speeding that process up. Look, he is acting now. I told you, this time Trump is going to be totally unhinged, totally unchained. There's nobody to keep it real with him and say what's a good idea, what's not a good idea. They're all loyalist sycophants. And then with that being the case, he really thinks he's invincible. He survived, 91 crimes. He was able to get away with them. He was granted immunity by the Supreme Court that, hey, if you're doing anything that you think is official, it's okay. You can do it. And this is the end result of that, right? So the thing that we have to fear now, y'all, is a scenario where the court says, hey, you can't do that. And he goes, okay, I disagree. You want to stop me? Come stop me with your army. Oh, that's right. You don't have an army and I do. Right? That's what you have to fear. That's what you have to fear. Because the guy, he skated. He skated on everything. And these are the consequences. And by the way, we should also point out, Trump himself, with his own rhetoric over the years, he never has been, I'm a full austerity Republican, right? Slash government to bone. He was never that guy, which is why he's always maintained and said, I'm not going to cut Social Security. I'm not going to cut Medicare. He always would say things like that, right? But remember, guys, now all of the billionaire oligarch robber barons have snuggled up to him and given him a tremendous amount of money. And Trump thinks these people are geniuses, and he's made a corrupt deal with them. And he's basically delegating governance to many of these people, right? And guess what? They are full austerity-minded Republicans. They are Paul Ryan on steroids and George W. Bush on steroids. And so if they insist on implementing austerity, Trump's going to be like, okay, go ahead. He's not going to fight. He doesn't have deep ideological convictions to disagree with them and stand up to them. And this is that austerity. And austerity is colossally unpopular. There were a lot of people who voted for Trump for a lot of bad reasons, but they did not sign up for this action right here. Nobody did, because they never said they were going to do this, right? He never, imagine campaigning and just outright say, we're going to cut all of Medicaid. We're going to cut all the school breakfast and lunch programs. We're going to get rid of Head Start. We're going to get rid of food for babies and Meals on Wheels for seniors. Couldn't say that. Didn't say that. Right? But this is part of Project 2025. And we warned you about that. We warned you. And when he tried to distance himself from it, we said that's a fucking lie. But now all these austerity-minded oligarch billionaire robber barons, they're cutting all the programs for you to the bone, while at the same time they're trying to loot the treasury, like backstopping crypto. That's just a way for tech oligarchs to have the U.S. government bail them out no matter what happens with crypto, right? $500 billion plan for AI. What do you think this is? This is the billionaire oligarch robber barons looting the treasury. So in other words, it's big government spending for them, subsidies for them, socialism for them, rugged individualistic capitalism for you. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. If you fail, you fail. Suck it up. Nobody cares. That's what we're witnessing. The entire social safety net just got draxed the other day. And some of this stuff is going to be frozen, and they might keep it frozen. And again, we'll see if they actually listen to the courts when they say you can't do this, right? But even if, this is what I have to be clear about, guys. Even if this is literally just like, oh, for only a couple days, this is allowed. And then they go right back. Even that had devastating and dangerous consequences that will hurt people massively. That's what you need to understand. We've never seen an administration this extreme domestically. Never have we seen anything like this. So, holy cow, we're in new territory. And all I have to say to the Democrats is, wakey, wakey, y'all. Wakey, wakey. We got a story later on a press conference they did and what they talked about as this was going on. You're going to be disgusted. You're going to be disgusted just how far behind they are as these MAGA Republicans run circles around them and absolutely obliterate the federal government. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.